welcome to Rapid Reviews Radio Podcast, episode 242. I think that's one of my favorite Uncanny X-Men issues, but I can't remember what it is. I just remember 242. Anyway, I'm your co-host, Kylie Wilde, and I'm joined by my ever-present co-host, Pete Beckett, which is Ines.
Bonjour, mes amis.
I think Pete's had a stroke.
No, when it comes to what we've been playing, it'll make sense.
Okay. Pete keeps telling me everything's going to make sense, but it's me. Nothing makes sense to me.
It does make sense, trust me.
2 brain cells, and I'm about to fry the last one.
Sorry, hang on. You have 2 brain cells and you're about to fry the last one?
Yes, that was the joke.
Okay, good.
Because I can't do math.
Mathematics.
I can't do mathematics. It is funny that in the UK you guys say maths and drug, and we say drugs and math.
No, we say drugs.
I can't remember. I've drank a lot.
So by drank a lot, you mean I've had one drink? I've
had one drink. Half of it spilled on my pajama bottoms, but...
And we've lost everyone.
With that said, Pete, how has your week been, and what have you been playing?
It's been very long. Won't go into specifics, work and stuff like that. Very, very long, busy week. So, but doesn't matter. I have had a bit of time to play some video games. Hooray! A video games podcast that actually plays video games. It's crazy, right?
I can't believe it.
Strange.
What are video games?
I know, it's unbelievable, right? What are they? Yeah, so I said it to you on the stream. I won't repeat it on our podcast in case anyone from actual work is listening. I played a little bit of Splatoon 3, but I won't tell you when I played Splatoon 3.
I think that's a wise thing.
Yeah, but I played a couple of matches on Splatoon 3. Still enjoyable, I guess. I'm still probably going to reiterate I still don't enjoy the balance of the weapons as much as I did with 2. But I think the general improvements to the game that they made actually are much better than the base Splatoon 2 version.
Right.
It's a very good game, still very enjoyable, but yeah. And they've released some new weapons as well, so I'm just working to try and get those.
Right.
So 2 other games that I've played I'll talk a bit more about in length, because one's a new game and one's a game that I've picked back up again. So I'll talk about the game that I've picked back up again. It's Clair Obscur Expedition 33, which is why I was speaking French, because it's a very French game.
See, it is, yeah. I have yet to play that, Pete.
It is absolutely brilliant, but my God, is it a challenge.
I'm saying you don't like RPGs normally.
Not normally, but I'm getting a lot better when it comes to RPGs generally anyway.
Right.
It seems to be, I think it was last year where I had the revelation that I played more RPGs than any other game series or genre.
Which is hilarious.
So I got to a point with Clair Obscur where before I went on holiday I got a bit stuck. Got stuck on a relatively difficult boss, so it's like, I have to come back to it. So after holiday I tried again, got stuck again, and then for some reason I think more videos were coming up on my YouTube feed about Clair Obscur, so it just made me want to go back and play it. It was like, I forgot I actually had a save file on it, so I went back and started playing it again. And my God, is it a test of patience? It is.
Oh no.
It is so difficult.
Not good.
It's so difficult. It makes sense, and I know a lot of people who have turned around and went, I can't play this game anymore. It's too challenging. It's too difficult for me. I don't want to do it. I don't want to drop the game down to easy mode to feel cheated, but I don't want to carry on with it.
Right.
However, I am at the stage where I'm like, no, I really want to find out what the hell's going on, and I'll feel cheated if I went onto YouTube and watched it. So I'm gonna persevere, because I'm now in Act 2. Something happens at the end of Act 1 that absolutely is devastating. I won't say for spoiler reasons. But it's kept me going back to the game. And then, Jesus Christ, you get into Act 2, you have a gut punch, and it throws you into probably one of the most difficult bosses that you can ever find.
Oh.
And
Wow.
this isn't a like an optional challenge. No, this is a story-based one. And I kid you not, it took me nearly 4 hours to complete it.
Holy crap! That's crazy.
Yeah, because it's a 2-stage boss. So you defeat the first part, and then obviously it comes back in a second stage, and it's a lot more difficult because a lot more patterns to try and recognise and all that. So.
Right.
The main draw of it is obviously it's a trial and error sort of game, sort of like a Soulsborne like in that respect. Where,
Right.
funnily enough, one of the lead developers on the game actually did say that he was inspired by Bloodborne and Souls-like games for difficulty and challenge.
Great.
Yeah, but I would say that this is fair. It's very fair, but it's also extremely difficult. And it makes sense narratively speaking that everything in this world can and will kill you in one shot.
Right.
Like, they are ridiculous beings of ridiculous power. So, and you're just human characters. Yeah, okay,
Right.
the world is filled with like magic and stuff like that, and it's a different take on a French landscape, but it's still very much human characters like facing off against otherworldly beings.
Right.
So it's gonna be tough. But the good thing about it is that every move, apart from I think the odd couple, are either parryable or dodge, or you can dodge them. And then it just throws in a whole new mechanic in the beginning of the second act. It's like, oh, so now you've got an extra strong parry move that you have to do, where the timing window is even smaller. Thanks. But it is satisfying when you do get it, because it does big damage, which is great.
Right.
So I'm up to probably... Bueno. I wouldn't say I'm halfway through Act 2 yet, but I'm probably about a third of the way through Act 2. I once again came up against another boss that is a main challenge, and holy crap was it hard. And then suddenly just defeated it like quite easily, like after a few attempts at doing it. Annoyingly, my game didn't save, so I had to go and do it again.
Oh no!
Word to the wise, so I found this out the hard way. Do not leave your Xbox on quick resume and then pick it up on a cloud save, because it will not find your save when you're in quick resume. So yeah, that's what ruined my save file to that respect. So I had to go back and do the boss again. Yeah. But I did it, and it's fine, and I can continue forth. Yes. But yeah, absolutely loving the game. I think it is probably, and this has been said so many times by so many people already, it is without a doubt probably the highest contender I have for Game of the Year already. It's just such a beautiful game. Like,
cool. From
a game design aspect, like character, story, and music, it is just unbelievably good, and I'd highly recommend any person who likes a really good JRPG style game to go and play it, because it's my god, is it a good game. But there has been a new release somewhat this week, and it is another Game Pass game. Do you happen to remember that I spoke very highly a couple of years ago about a game from the developers called Slow Clap by the name of Sifu?
Yes.
Well, those developers are now back with a new game that is on Game Pass, and it is very different to what their previous game was. I will tell you, this is called Rematch.
Right. Okay. That's not what I thought you were going to say.
So, an online-based Rocket League style football game.
Okay. Football as in soccer?
Football, yes.
Soccer.
So, football. Sorry, American football pees me off because there is no feet involved unless you're on the fourth down and you're trying to make yards, or you're trying for a field goal. It's the only time you use your feet.
That's it. Tarantino should run a football league.
No, he should not. There'll be a... Oh, God. Anyway. This is... So this is a game that obviously is very similar to
Hello,
Rocket League in
Flame.
that respect, where arenas are very much closed off, so the ball can't go out of play.
Right.
Obviously, it can bounce against walls and all that sort of thing, and it can be played either 3, 4, or 5 on 5. But
Right.
the main appeal of it is that you're not, kind of like Rocket League, you're not controlling a whole entire team like you would do on FIFA. You're only controlling one character.
Right.
And I would say that the actual football mechanics themselves are a lot more in depth than something like FIFA. FIFA feels like, or EAFC.
FIFA.
So, oh god.
Also, hello, Flame. How are you?
Hello. EAFC or FIFA or whatever you want to call it these days, even to some degree, Pro Evolution Soccer or eFootball as it's called nowadays, just feels like a more cinematic version of like, it's like watching a game of football on TV, where it's very stylized camera angles, like, you know, from a TV aspect. This one actually tracks around you like it does in Rocket League.
Oh, yeah. I do like Rocket.
I'd say the mechanics are a little bit more in depth as well, so you have lob passes, lob shots, and proper slide tackles. The main fun part about it is that there's no actual dedicated goalkeeper either. It's sort of a similar principle. You wouldn't understand this because you didn't grow up in the UK. When you'd play football, like in a park, like with your friends, soccer. When you
I don't even know her.
Okay, well, that is appalling. So
Balling. We need a pun counter. Anyway.
we do not, because it would just
Or a Pete Grimace.
No, it would explode every time. So when you were playing football in park football or whatever with your friends, like nobody wanted to be a goalkeeper. So you'd play something called rush goalkeeper. So whoever was in the box gets to be the goalkeeper.
Oh my gosh.
They've taken that mechanic and actually put it into the game. So if one player goes out of the box, the other one goes in, it automatically changes them to the goalkeeper, puts gloves on them, and changes your whole entire like button set basically for a goalkeeper. It's very strange.
Yeah, that's wild.
And I would say this is the absolute definition of, I'll just play one more game, because I picked this up because it's on Game Pass, played the tutorial, and then played one game of it, and I went, I think that'll do it. Just one more game. Just one more game.
Yeah.
And about an hour and a half had gone by, and I'd played 10 games.
Oh my god.
This is quite addictive, and it is quite fun. They have had a few issues on launch with the netcode, which has not been ideal for some players. But I tell you now, I haven't had any issues whatsoever. It has played relatively alright, and they have done several updates to it since. And I think this is a really fun game. I want to try and find some more people who might be interested to play it and give it a try with them, because I think this is great fun.
Do you have to be human in it?
Yeah. I mean, you can put prosthetics on yourself, so I guess that's different.
That's weird.
Yeah, well, character customization and all, but yeah, it's just generally a really quite fun,
it might be fun,
engaging game, and it's just, you know, the games are like only 5 minutes, exactly how it is on Rocket League, and it's just a lot of fun. There's a lot more depth to it than what appears to be on the surface, because not everything in the tutorial actually tells you what you're doing.
We should be doing rapper review nights again like we used to.
We should, and I would put this forth as one of the games to try out.
Yup. Pilot says he's gonna steal my soccer.
He can steal as much as he likes, or as little as he likes.
Is it stealing if we give it away?
And Dan has already clipped the football-related puns. Fantastic, brilliant, love that. Anyway, that's my week of gaming. I've played new games.
Yes.
So, Kylie, what have you been playing? Have you played a new game?
Well, yes and no. But yes, I have. But I have to start by saying that I am reiterating what I said last week. I'm so done with NVIDIA. I'm done.
They are annoying, aren't they?
Very. Like, I had to jump through hoops to even get my, because here's the problem for those out there in listener land who don't know what's going on. When I stream, I am one of those people who has their webcam on at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Not everybody does that, but I do because I'm lonely and I want to talk to people. But when I do that, it conflicts with my games that have NVIDIA specialized settings.
So things like Doom.
Yeah.
So
Doom
it
and
completely
Resident
screws
Evil.
with like the DLSS and the
Yes, all of
anti-aliasing
that.
and ray tracing, all that sort of thing.
Yes. All of that. And it's all the games that I play. So I tried to do Resident Evil Village on Monday. And yeah, I was blanking. I was about to say 9 again. But couldn't get the thing to play along. So went back to my old favorite, which is Hitman. I love Hitman so much. So much. This is my favorite. And I started out as a Hitman streamer. I need to like get back to that, but I've got to pick a day, like a Saturday or something, and make it a dedicated Hitman day. So that was fun because Hitman's always fun. I won't ruin it. The VOD is available. It will be available on YouTube. Go watch it. It's funny. The ending is funny. And Wednesday, I missed again. So Thursday, I played my weird game Wednesday on Thursday. That was a new game. A new game that is called Date Everything. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, I have to put a date on everything when it was created? No! It means date the thing. Like dates. Not like dates that you eat. Like go out on dates. I know. That's a thing
I
I
don't like dates, but
once.
I thought that was...
Yeah. Dating sim. I've only done it once in real life. And, that's not a joke, by the way. Our poor listeners don't realize that is not a joke. I have been on one date in my entire life. So I thought I would date the toilet. I don't know. It sounded like a good idea at the time. I tried. No, this is all kidding aside, never. This is a new game. Oh, man. Ben Hammer. This is a new game that's out there. It's had a lot of buzz. Because it's silly. It's so silly. I think Nana gave me a little bit of a background that it was like voiceover actors. They all got together. Because everything's voiced.
Yeah,
which is not usual.
And they're different voices as well,
sims.
which is very strange.
Like every character is different. And you can choose to play it the way I did, which was safe streamer version. I have to because YouTube has me on thin ice. But you can play it where it's quite XXX or whatever type of thing. So it did get a bit, or it was going in naughty directions that I was not ready or prepared for.
Oh, okay.
But I did still try to date the toilet. I also tried to date the trash can, the toaster,
The door.
the hot water heater, the door.
I mean, the door was expected because that's how you progress, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. The door was like a forced date. But it is a silly, silly game. I think I know it's on Steam because that's where I got it. I think it's available on Xbox, but I can't remember. I just know that everyone's talking about it and it got my attention. The art style is cute as hell. I'm not gonna lie. There's no substance to it. It is just a fun time passer. Obviously, it's a parody of date simulators, which are a real thing. I have not played a real one. I've only played parodies on my channel. But there's only the highest viewed streams, so I shall continue to do that. I might take this one more day next week and date some more objects around the house. I mean, I'm in game. But I will see how it goes.
It's on PC, Xbox, PlayStation, and Switch.
Well, there you go. There you go. So it is like I said, it's a fun time waster. It is funny. It is quite funny. And it's cute. Like the designs are cute. Their outfits and everything are so creative, and it's all colorful, which I mean,
and the names are all pun based, of course.
Yes. I still haven't found anything that looks like a pirate, which is what I was looking for. I was really hoping the toilet would look like a pirate, but he didn't. He was like a white rapper, because it sounds like crapper. That's not even me making that joke. That's the game's joke.
That's appalling.
Yes. And then on Friday, I got my dadgum stupid dumb idiot NVIDIA chip fixed. Well, not fixed.
Is that because there was an update?
Yes, but it wasn't just the update. I had to go through each game and manually fix them.
Of course.
To match the update. So I did, and then we played some Resident Evil Village, and it's just fun. It's in one of the scarier parts for me. But what I have to say about that is I've said this 1,000 times, I'll say it 1,000 times more. I love the character design in Resident Evil Village, the backstories, the lore, the look. It's so on point. I would watch a mini series of just the characters themselves, like their backstory or something. Because it's just good. It's just good. And that's it. That's what I played, and today is Saturday. It feels like Sunday, but it's Saturday, so that's all I played.
It is Sunday.
Yes, today is Sunday, dear listeners.
Yeah.
But yes, so that's it. That's all I played.
Sweet.
But I say that, but again, I do encourage people to check out Resident Evil 8 if they've not ever played it. If you like Resident Evil games or the scarier games, they're not that scary. At least not to me. And check out Date Everything because it's funny, and then always Hitman because it's Hitman. It's Agent 47. Who can say no to Agent 47? I can't. But yes, so that's what we did this week. Thank you for coming to our TED Talk. Now over to Pete, who's in the studio live, who's going to tell us what is next.
Well, we'll cover news this week. Of course we are, because why not?
That's what we do. We're a news show. That's the news sound.
Congratulations.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah. We've got a few bits of news this week. I'm going to say it's a little bit of a lighter week, but there's some heavy topics. Some heavy ones.
Okay.
So
I'm going to drink.
But we'll start out light, shall we? Or we'll talk generally about some things that we, would do.
Righto.
Mike says check out Resident Evil Village if you like Resident Evil or big titty tall vampire ladies.
Yes.
Sold.
Who I'm going to cosplay as her. It's been so warm, and it's a satin dress, and it just
it's not
sticks
great.
to every part of you. Nah.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
No
Anyway.
thanks. Anyway, so if I was to tell you that 50 Cent is taking to the streets, what the hell would that mean?
I know who 50 Cent is. I know he's from the streets originally, and he got shot like 87 times or something.
I don't remember how many times, but he's got shot a lot.
That's a lot. He got shot a lot. He's a holy man.
Well, if I was to tell you that it's quite possible that he might be punched a lot, it might be an indication of what I might be talking about. Because
is he gonna be on? Yes, reveal it, Pete.
Because 50 Cent has been cast as Balrog in the Street Fighter movie.
Oh, that's awesome. Also, thank you, Mike.
Yeah, but so this has come as a slew of basically recent casting announcements for the upcoming Street Fighter movie from Legendary Pictures that's due out next year. This one was the strangest one, I would have to say. Actually, not necessarily, because the cast list is getting interesting, let's say. So 50 Cent is taking to the street. The rapper turned actor, so this comes from the Hollywood Reporter.
Apparently he's a good actor, is what I heard.
Has joined the eclectic cast of Street Fighter.
Thank you, Brent.
And what a diverse bunch it is. The call sheet ranges from A-lister Jason Momoa as Blanca to heartthrob Noah Centineo as Ken to country singer Orville Peck as Vega.
That is. I love Vega. That's one of my favorite characters.
So,
I didn't even know Vega was still
also on the
around.
cast is Roman Reigns. We're unsure about who. Oh, sorry, it does say who he's playing. And Andrew Koji, who was from Warrior, are on the roll call as battlers Akuma and Ryu, respectively.
Right. Okay.
And then
I'm gonna have to look it
Kalina
up.
Liang, who was from Presence, is playing Chun-Li.
Okay. Cool.
So, 50 Cent will play Balrog, a disgraced boxer who is also a bodyguard of the villain. Sources say he's deep into training for the part and will be doing his own stunts for this. So for
I
those
believe it. I've heard he's great. I don't know. But
so for those unsure about who's actually making this, Kateo Sakurai, who was someone who worked on the Eric Andre show, is directing the feature and is due to be beginning production in Australia in August. So they're still keeping up with their 2026 release, despite the fact that there was apparently not too long ago a few issues.
Oh.
So it was, I think it was taken off the slate actually for a little bit, but it then reappeared back on it, which was a little bit strange. But yeah,
Right.
seems to be that the cast is really rounding out at the moment. So
Mm-hmm.
I have to say I'm quite excited about this because of the cast list alone.
I was gonna
I think
say.
it's a good cast so far.
They just need like a baller soundtrack.
Yes, they do. I think the more interesting side of it is who they're going to cast for people like Cammy and Guile, because in the past we've had
Yeah.
Van Damme, who was Belgian, playing an American, and Kylie Minogue, an Australian, playing an English woman,
Yes.
which was freaking terrible.
I know, it's terrible. But awesome. Wouldn't it be great? Wouldn't it be great? Pete, mine experience or experiment.
Please do not say what I think you're going to say.
What?
No, go on.
I think it would be very cool if they got JCVD to play M. Bison. I'm just saying.
Okay, that wasn't where I thought you were going. Fair enough.
Was I gonna go with a Raul Julia hologram?
Oh, good. You realised that he wasn't actually on this world anymore. He
Yes,
died a
I
long
do know
time
that.
ago.
Sadly.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. It's one of my mom's favorite actors. So
Yeah, cool.
I knew, and yeah.
All right. Yeah. I don't. I'm not gonna agree with you. I mean, as a callback, it would be quite funny.
Yeah.
But he's a terrible actor.
I mean, he's awful. He's horrible.
And this
I
is
love
looking
this
like
movie
a really
so
good
much.
cast so far, so I don't want it being ruined by a bad actor.
Yeah, well, we could get him to say, it was Tuesday.
Yeah, but then it'll probably sound absolutely awful in how he's trying to say it. And if they're going for a very different kind of movie, you know, a bit more serious maybe.
I mean, it's Street Fighter. How serious can you be? Especially if they got Vega in the cast. I love Vega.
Sorry, the animated movies are generally very serious.
Oh, really? See, I've never watched
yeah,
them. I know the
Street
Chun-Li, like, the movie Chun-Li.
Oh,
You know,
that film should never be mentioned around a Street Fighter fan ever. It is a disgrace.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
the actress is really pretty, and she was on Chuck, so.
And she was also in Smallville.
I love Chuck. Oh, that's right. She was, wasn't she?
Yep.
I forgot about that.
She played Lana Lang.
She did.
Yeah. I agree
yep.
with you. That's probably one of the only reasons why I watched it. Oh, God.
The shower scene.
Moving on. So the Street Fighter 2 animated movie, the manga film, the Street Fighter Alpha film, even the Ties That Bind, I think, which was the Street Fighter 4 movie, were all very serious in nature. Assassin's Fist was also incredibly serious.
Oh gosh, Assassin Fist sounds like an Assassin Creed porno.
I never really thought about that before, but thank you for ruining that movie now. It's cool.
I'm on my third glass. But there's also a Street Fighter and X-Men manga. Sorry,
Comic
manga.
series, yeah. There was a comic series made in conjunction with the game.
Yes.
They generally have done it with Marvel vs. Capcom, X-Men vs. Street Fighter, and a few others.
It was weird seeing Wolverine in at that time as, manga style.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been done so many times since then.
Now
but
it has,
that first time I was like, whoa, okay, that's weird. But Jubilee fit perfectly, so.
Mike said, "Hey, Kristen Crook didn't know what she was doing."
Yeah.
Allegedly. That's what they all say.
Uh-huh.
Anyway,
That's what they all
so
say.
let's move on to the next news story. And like I said,
okay,
the title of this episode will now make more sense.
Okay.
Because
Dick Richard.
Yes.
Rick
Do you
Richard.
happen to remember, I say happen to remember, there is an upcoming re-release or remaster or remake of a game that came out in the mid-2000s from a certain small little startup company called Activision.
Oh, yeah, that little tiny thing.
That little tiny company, yeah.
Yeah.
Called Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4.
I vaguely remember a game like that.
Yes.
Way back in the midst of time.
So I'm going to go into this one and just read it as is without reading the headline. Okay. Jack Black will be reprising his role as Officer Dick in the upcoming Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4.
Excellent.
Officer Dick is a long-running, unlockable character dating back to the original Tony Hawk's Pro Skater and has usually been one of the trickier characters to unlock because of the goals you have to meet.
Frustrating!
So he was unlockable in the first 3 games, but at the time he was portrayed as a generic cop. In the 2020 remaster, he was instead played by Jack Black, so that is also going to continue with this one.
Of course it will.
So now with the Minecraft movie and Mario Brothers movies,
I was gonna say,
will reprise his role, once again appearing as the unlockable character. However, this time, he'll be joined by a British counterpart named Constable Richard.
Oh my goodness. Oh.
Continuing on with the dick puns.
Yes.
Now you can see why I included this stuff.
Yep. I do.
I thought we'd have some jokes about Richard.
Yep. Oh, that's great. I bet he's a dick.
Oh, he's probably a big one.
No, he's a Richard.
Seems a bit girthy to me.
I only know one Richard, and he's not a dick. He's so super nice.
Yeah, he actually is really nice.
He's like super nice. We also need to have him back.
I know a couple of Richards actually, but they're not dicks actually, surprisingly enough. Anyway, so yeah, the character will still be played by Jack Black, albeit with a Mockney accent.
Oh my gosh, I have to hear that. Also, Mike says Jack Black is done with video game movies and now wants to be video games directly. He already was. Brutal Legend. Yeah. It's an interesting game. I was going to say it was it's not a good game, but it's a game. It happens, and I love Jack Black. But I cannot wait to hear his horrible Mockney accent.
It's going to be really terrible, isn't it? Anyway, so this is a quote from the director, Kurt Tillmans. Said, "We really love Jack Black's inclusion in the previous iteration.
I bet
he played a character called Officer Dick, and in the school maps, he was this school's security guard who would yell at the skater and try and run them off the ground. We just thought that was a really fun, interesting character, and kept this tradition of the celebrity cameo in a Tony Hawk game. We wanted to carry that forward. We were really thankful when we reached out to him and he was down to come back, but we wanted to tell a little bit more about the Officer Dick story."
Oh my gosh.
So according to Tillmans, the 3 and 4 remake, Officer Dick is no longer just a cop shouting at skaters and is now campus security sheriff of a college.
Oh goodness.
Yeah.
Oh goodness.
So this is due for release in about 2 weeks now, actually. Comes out on the 11th of July for PS5, Xbox Series X and S, Switch 2, PS4, Xbox One, Switch and PC. Digital Deluxe game will offer 3-day early access on the game. I will not be doing that. I'm just getting it on Game Pass because yay, Game Pass.
Yeah, on that one. But I would say that the best celebrity cameo in all of the whole series, and it's undisputed, is Shrek 2.
Really?
I love Shrek in there.
No, because funnily enough, actually, as a character, Shrek was good, but Spider-Man
Yes.
was probably the greatest because
I mean,
his stats were just stupidly good.
I was gonna say, but like Spider-Man was expected, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah.
But Shrek 2, because it was for Shrek 2 movie. That was like my first time seeing something like that. You know, a skin like that, and then later it would be Fable that would do like celebrity skins. But that was my first time, and I was just like, I love Shrek so much. I love Shrek 2 so much. Shrek 2 the character. Shrek 2 the movie's okay.
It's not the best.
Yeah, Mike says Officer Dick gets character development. Yep.
Yeah, big one.
It's a long, hard story they have to tell. Really digs it deep.
There's a lot of weight to it. And now you can.
I can't.
Now
I
you're
can't,
starting.
I can't,
Now you
I
know
can't.
why I included this story, because it just gave us an excuse to say dick a lot.
Yep, we're making dick jokes.
Yeah.
And we can't be censored because we're talking about the name.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hooray. Anyway, shall we get on to the first of the 3 news stories about the big 3, let's say?
Sure, let's do that.
Because PlayStation's policy of not releasing its first-party games on PS Plus on the day of release will continue, according to a company
Of course
exec.
it will. Of course it will.
In a recent interview with GameFile, PlayStation's Vice President of Global Services, Nick Maguire, was asked whether the company was considering changing its PlayStation Plus policy to match that of Xbox, where first-party releases are added to the top tier of gaming on day one, on Game Pass on day one. He replied that it wasn't, insisting the company's policy of adding the first-party games at least a year after launch, instead selecting 4 or 5 indie games per year to add to PS Plus was working for Sony.
Right.
Oh God, Mike. I've just seen the chat. Jesus Christ. Quote, we sort of stay true to our strategy, and across the board where we're not looking to put games in day and date. Our strategy of finding 4 or 5 independent day and date titles and using that to complement our strategy of bringing games in when they're 12 to 18 months old or older, that balance for us is working really well across the platform. So when PlayStation 4 launched, Housemarque's Resogun was made available on launch day for PS Plus subscribers. It also did the same for PS5 title Destruction All-Stars. Does anyone remember Destruction All-Stars?
I remember the name. I don't remember what that was.
I actually have it in my PS5 library. Never played it. One of those ones I was like, oh, I'm going to get a PS5 at some point. I have PS Plus. Alright, I'll just grab it. Okay, I don't even have PS Plus anymore.
I swear I've heard of that. I just do not have a memory.
It's the game that everyone really wanted to be, was it Twisted Metal? But it wasn't Twisted Metal.
Oh, that's sad, because
Yeah.
I love Twisted Metal.
Anyway, so in February 2021, but since then the company has remained resolute in its policy of not adding new first-party games to the service on day one. So third-party games that have been released on PS Plus day of release in recent years have included FBC Firebreak, Plucky Squire, Dave the Diver, Animal Well, Tales of Kenzera, Zao, and Stray.
Right.
And Stray was terrible.
Was it? I'm going to play that eventually
Oh, it was
on
crap.
my channel.
It was crap. I know plenty of people who are cat people who absolutely love the game, but mechanically that game is freaking terrible.
Right, okay.
And I'm a cat
It's a puzzle game, isn't it?
It's
like a physics puzzle.
Not physics puzzle game. It's not an open world game. It is like it's like a sandboxy sort of like adventure game.
Right, like a litter box. Open litter box.
It's a litter box game. Yeah, okay, we'll go with that.
Mike is making me giggle. I cannot help it. I'm sorry.
We shall not. So Maguire was also asked about PlayStation Classics catalogue, which is available to PS Plus subscribers on the premium tier. In terms of retro games being added to the service, he said Sony is trying to bring it in 1 a month minimum.
Okay.
asked why some first-party Sony titles, retro titles, such as the two Resistance games and infamous Second Son, have been removed from the catalogue in recent months, Maguire replied that Sony wanted to balance the catalogue.
Right.
So, quote, "We've got 80 collections of games across the catalogue, so we want to keep it fresh and bring in new games. Sometimes that means taking a few games out at the same time to keep the proposition interesting and help people find new games as well." But why? Sorry.
Yeah.
First-party Sony titles, including the first two Resistance games from the PS3, and infamous Second Son from Insomniac Studios, who are a PlayStation-owned service, means it costs you absolutely nothing to leave them on there, but you are taking them away because people don't have better ways to play them, and you do not have backwards compatibility on your PS5. This is a terrible idea, and you're paying an absolute premium for it.
I was going to say, we have spoken so often on this show about the arrogance of Sony. We've even got episodes titled that. And this is them again doing that. And are they wrong? Because they are consistently outselling the Xbox.
Yes. But I think the strategy for Xbox has changed and has done for a very long time now.
Yeah.
Like, Microsoft itself is not... It's not necessarily about hardware sales anymore. It's about subscription service users and recurring monthly revenue. Because they are getting people with that. Now that those people are basically paid up for a certain amount of time and they've closed the loophole, people are going to have to start paying for their service a little bit more. Including me, who has now been charged 2 months of Xbox Game Pass because I forgot about it. At the full £15 a month.
That's not bad.
Yeah, but by comparison to going on to like CD keys and buying like 12 months on there for whatever price it is.
I think that's what I did. Because I still have Ultimate and I don't think I'm paying it monthly. So I must have went on CD keys and did it.
No, that's what I'd done before, but before I went on holiday I was supposed to go and do it and I just didn't. And it was like, I looked at my bank statement, I was like, wait, what's this Xbox? Oh crap. And then it did it again this month. I was like, oh shoot. It's fine. Clair Obscur's on there. I'm quite happy paying for it to play that. And I'll pay it next month because it's still on there. Rematch is on there. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4 are coming. So I'm happy to keep paying it, but I will, I'll have to figure it out at some point. But CD Keys doesn't actually have a 12-month code anymore. You have to buy them in 3-month increments, which is a bit annoying.
I wonder if that's what I've done. Huh. But I do have something I want to talk about later. Don't let me forget.
Talk about it now.
A decision. Okay. So, we've been talking, I don't know, for the last 5 weeks, about the Switch 2 and everything. And it's not my thing. And then I had a heart attack at the price. Because I'm not ready to pay anything like that. But then we started talking about the ROG Ally Xbox version.
Oh god, you're gonna go and buy a ROG Xbox Ally.
I think I'm trying not to. I'm trying so hard to sit on my hands.
Yeah,
and
well,
not
it's not
do
even
it.
out yet, but obviously.
No, but when
it comes out.
Yeah, because when it comes out, I will be able to. But then it's like that goes against my principles. I don't ever want to pay that much for anything. I was gonna say a handheld, but anything.
Just anything in general.
But I would love it. I would love it so much.
Yeah.
I would love it. So, I know I said, the ROG Ally is probably Xbox. ROG Ally Xbox One. That's probably my next console. Yeah, I think it is.
I wouldn't be surprised about it as well.
It just makes so much sense.
I'm sort of sitting there and going, I kind of wish I would have held back on the Steam Deck now. If I would have known what I had known back then, even though it was only a few months ago, I probably would have held off and gone for the ROG Ally.
Yeah, I mean, they really did win me over. Well, first of all, let me say what Brent said. Speak for yourself. I never pay more than half price for Game Pass.
Lucky you. Tell us your secret.
There is all kinds of ways.
I know there is, yeah. I just haven't looked
but
into
I'm lazy.
That much. And that too.
And I'm lazy. Yeah, so I was thinking, the Switch 2 did cross my mind, but then I saw that price tag and I nearly had a heart attack. I know that's ironic comparing it to the ROG Ally Xbox. And then I thought about, I'll do the Steam Deck, because I had been looking at them before for someone else, not for myself. And I was like, I mean, I do love Steam games, but I'm just going to play them on my PC. That really wouldn't benefit me as a handheld, necessarily. But the ROG Ally is like, yeah, everything. You can play everything on it. Everything I play.
That was what I was looking at, and I was like, if I would have held off a little while longer and seen that come out, I would have gone, okay, I'm holding this money off. I'll probably buy the ROG Ally instead because I can play the Steam games, GOG, and
exactly
Epic Games,
and
as well as the Xbox games as well.
Because I've got games on every one of those platforms.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I think most people do.
Mm-hmm. So having an all-in-one launcher basically for them would actually be more beneficial, which is actually something they're possibly looking at doing on the Xbox PC app anyway.
Right. Well, yeah, that's true. I did read that too. I'm going to try. Oh, sorry. My YouTube channel just got a comment. I don't understand it. Anyway, I'm going to try to hold off and not get it day one because, guys, I kid you not, it's like $730.
Well, we don't know the actual price of the ROG Xbox Ally. That's just the ROG
No, we don't.
Ally.
That's ROG Ally 2, which is what this one will be, except it will be also Xbox. So if we're looking at, I need to not do that. Like, I don't have any reason not to do it. It's just principle. I don't want to on principle.
Fair enough.
But it's me. I have impulse issues.
Yes, you do. Anyway.
I see something I wanted, I take it. So.
Right. Anyway, let's move on to this one because this one is actually going to focus on Microsoft.
Right.
Because just to put this in place before we discuss this story, this is still only rumoured at this stage. It's not official. Not an official story.
Okay.
So,
we don't usually do rumors.
No, it's not rumoured. It's so it is it's very heavily rumoured, but it's coming from mostly legit
sources. Yeah, because Pete won't let me report rumors unless I have sources.
No, well this one has been reported on quite a lot of outlets.
Okay.
Because Microsoft is reportedly planning another round of major cuts at the Xbox division.
Oh gosh. Oh no. See, they're
and you'll understand why I said this is somewhat legitimate sources. Because according to a report from Bloomberg and Jason Schreier.
Oh. Bite my tongue.
Which cites sources familiar with plans speaking under anonymity. The company is set to conduct a round of layoffs next week as part of a company-wide reorganisation. Now, this kind of would somewhat make sense because they usually report. I think their end of fiscal year usually runs until the end of June for Microsoft. Don't ask why. I don't know. It's very strange.
Yeah.
So, as the report notes, this will be the fourth major round of layoffs at Xbox in the past 18 months, if it happens. So in January 2023, the company confirmed plans to lay off approximately 10,000 employees, which is around 4.5% of its workforce, 4.5% of the workforce. While these layoffs covered Microsoft as a whole, it was then reported that Bethesda Game Studios had been affected, as well as 343 Industries, and they had suffered a significant number of layoffs across the company, which was the heaviest towards individuals working on single-player side of the studio. Then a year later, in January 2024, it was confirmed that 1,900 staff members were laid off across Activision, Blizzard, Bethesda, and Xbox. According to Microsoft's Phil Spencer, the decision had been made after Microsoft and Activision Blizzard's leadership teams set priorities, identified areas of overlap, and ensured that they were aligned on the best opportunities for growth. So then this was then followed up by September 2024's announcement that another 650 jobs were cut from the game division.
Ooh.
Then in January 2025, it was reported that Microsoft had made an unspecified number of layoffs across several divisions, including employees in Xbox makers' security, sales, and gaming businesses.
Holy crap.
So what we have to remember from this is not necessarily just Xbox, but Microsoft as a whole.
Right.
But it seems to be that the vast majority of jobs are coming from various different Xbox-related studios. And let's be honest, quite a lot of them are probably trimming the fat after the Activision Blizzard merger.
Yeah.
They probably realise that they've got a doubling up of staff and they're still trying to trim all of that down after multiple months of recalculations and restructurings, and then gone, well, we have our own support team, we don't need an Activision support team or whatever, stuff like that. So unfortunately this happens in mergers and acquisitions all the time. I just didn't think it would happen quite this savagely, like over a prolonged period of time.
Yeah, but I'm going to be honest. As sad as it is, and it is, it's time for surgical strikes if you are a corporation right now.
Unfortunately so, yeah.
Yep. Also, I like what Mike says, which is Kiley's sources include Chardonnay, Pinot Noir, and Sauvignon Blanc. Kiley loves her sources. And the voices in my head. We can't leave them out.
Whereas I like actually identifiable sources rather than just trust me, bro.
Trust me, Pete. I heard it. I heard it in my dreams.
I know what some of your dreams are like. Holy crap. Ugh.
We should have a VR game of that. Anyway.
We shall not. I don't think anyone needs to delve into the mind of Kiley that much.
No. You wouldn't survive. But for real, it is a sad thing. It is. It is a very sad thing. Unfortunately, corporations are created to make money. That's the only reason they're created. They're not created to give you a happy life or their employees a happy life. They are created to make money. And when they stop making money, then they have to fix it and make sure they do start making money. Or be like me and sell it off. Anything that doesn't make money, I sell it. Which is why I am still, after 15 years of being a savvy and a savage businesswoman, I still have zero debt.
Yeah.
But yes, but that is not so great for employees and anyone under the CEO, because they do go on the chopping block, which is sad. It is very sad. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately,
I think it's pathetic, actually.
Yeah.
I think, and I'm still with this one completely. Like, I think it's absolutely savage that these people are in the mines, let's say, not making nearly any of the decisions whatsoever, but yet all the people that are making all the bad decisions at the top are still the ones getting away with making money whilst cutting jobs. I hate the idea of golden parachutes. Yes.
Or was it was us talking last week, right? Sometimes, the voices in my head. But where, some guy had like his pay was cut from like $30 million a year.
Yeah,
to like
we were talking about
million.
That was the WB story.
Yes, that was it. That was it.
David
like,
Zaslav.
How is he gonna survive on $5 million a year? That poor soul. That stuff makes me sick.
Yeah, it does with me. It's like, he deserves to get a job cut, and probably actually, I say a pay cut, probably a complete job cut, because he's a useless mother. Yeah. At this point, I could probably turn around and say that Phil Spencer probably needs a job cut after some of the stuff that he's done, but he seems...
We know that...
Let's be honest, he probably is riding the ship a little bit more now with their Game Pass like subscriptions and multi places to play games and stuff like that. It's probably still making him money, so...
Maybe, but I have been a stalwart defender of Father Phil. We know this for 5 years of this show. I was going to say this episode, but of this show. I'm an Xbox fangirl. I don't hide that, but I'm also not stupid. So yes, I am a staunch defender of Father Phil until the last 2, maybe 3 years.
I'd say probably the last 18 months for sure. Like,
I
certainly.
don't know. Yeah, I don't know what happened. I guess it's just I think, and I said this months ago, I think it's time for him to move on to a different place. It's not
We need
Xbox.
to go to
Well,
pastures
Microsoft.
new.
Yes, there you go.
Anyway.
And yeah.
Okay.
So I don't know. So it's sad to hear, but also that is a function of corporations. To make money.
Unfortunately so, yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of corporations, the last two stories are going to revolve very heavily around two different kinds of corporations, let's say.
Okay.
Or businesses. This one might be focused more on third-party sales because, let's read the story, third-party games have reportedly struggled to sell on Nintendo Switch 2 at launch, with one publisher claiming that that his game has sold, quote, below our lowest expectations.
No.
Or estimates, sorry.
Dear. Okay. Oh, that's sad to hear.
So,
oh dear.
While the Nintendo Switch 2 hardware has enjoyed record-breaking launch sales, some third-party publishers have reportedly found that the console's success hasn't translated to the thriving third-party market yet.
Well,
in a report from the game business, it claimed that other than CD Projekt Red's Cyberpunk 2077, most third-party games have struggled to sell on the Switch 2.
That's ironic and crazy.
No, there's actually a very, very, very easy, identifiable reason why this is the case, but we'll get to that in a bit. So,
I'm
quote,
curious.
Most third-party games, third-party Switch 2 games, posted very low numbers, quote.
Right, okay.
One third-party publisher characterised the numbers as below our lowest estimates, despite strong hardware sales. According to the report, 62% of Switch 2 physical game sales in the US during the console's launch week came from first-party titles. This excludes the Mario Kart World Bundle, which accounted for the vast majority of console sales in the region. That's because it was a digital code. So, according to the Circana data, the three best-selling physical games in the US during the Switch 2's launch week were Mario Kart World, Cyberpunk 2077, and Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom Switch 2 edition.
Right.
Don't read that comment. Don't read those comments because they're going to come up in a bit. Don't read them out loud. Don't read them out loud.
Okay.
So, Nielsen IQ data shows that in the UK, 86% of Switch 2 physical games sold in the UK during launch week were first-party games. If the Mario Kart World Bundle is included, if it's excluded, that figure is 48%. Cyberpunk 2077 was the best third-party selling game in the UK during the system's launch week. There are numerous potential reasons for the relatively slow start for third-party games on Switch 2. The high attach rate for Mario Kart World implies that a lot of players are happy enough to play that for now and explore the rest of the lineup once they're done with Mario Kart. I highly disagree.
Right.
Switch 2's backwards compatibility also means that players have a number of games that they can play at launch, most notably the 12 first-party Switch games that have been given free updates improving them on Switch 2. I also probably disagree with that too.
Right.
The lack of media reviews for third-party Switch 2 games and the resistance by some players to accept the game keycard format could also have contributed towards low third-party launch sales.
That's what Mike said.
That's why I was getting to it.
Yes.
The majority of third-party Switch 2 launch titles were also ports of games that had been released earlier on other consoles. Also what Mike said.
Yes.
Meaning it's likely that players who wanted those games had already found a way to buy them by now. It remains to be seen then how third-party games will fare on Switch 2 once the launch window is behind it, particularly when it comes to multi-format games that release on Switch 2 on the same day as other systems. The first notable example of that being Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4 that comes out in a few weeks.
Right.
Because that is a simultaneous launch since the Switch 2 came out.
Right.
So in general terms, launch lineup aside, third-party titles have often struggled to find huge success on Nintendo platforms in recent years. This is due to several factors, including the fact that many core players will own other, often more powerful hardware, as well as a Nintendo console. Despite the third-party sales issues, Nintendo is off to an extremely strong start. So it's enjoyed the biggest launch ever for a video game console. So just to put that into perspective, for the success story for Switch 2, in Japan it enjoyed a huge launch. Famitsu sales data shows that Switch 2 sold 947,000 consoles in the first 4 days.
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
That is insane.
And so far have reported that around 3.5 million Switch units of were sold globally in the first 4 days on sale.
Wow.
But yet, the old third-party games are not doing too well.
Yeah. That's still wild.
Not really. Not really at all. And I'm going to say something that is going to absolutely ruin the hell. Well, it might annoy Mike here.
I know what you're going to say.
A lot of this is Nintendo's problem. Why is that? Because they chose to allow developers, or not allow developers, they forced developers to either pay more for a 64GB cartridge or take a game keycard option, which is absolutely freaking ridiculous. So, for sake, I bought Street Fighter 6 physically.
Right.
Physically. It's a game keycard. Look, I will show you. I'm just going to show it to you, right? So,
it's crazy to me.
Let me just close my game down. No, just bear with me. Right? Because I want to show.
Yes.
I want to show this because this is absolutely stupid. So.
And for our listeners, they can come see this at www.twitch.tv/rapid-reviews.
So,
and come see it for yourself.
So, here it is.
Oh wow! Okay.
Here's the cartridge for Street Fighter 6.
Yes, it's adorable. It looks like all of the Switch cartridge.
And it's the Switch 2. It's the red one, right?
Yeah.
So
Does
just
it
looks like.
Can you lick it?
Oh, it still tastes disgusting. Jesus. Oh. Yeah.
See what you're missing, folks? You gotta come over to twitch.tv/rapid-reviews and see Pete lick a cartridge.
So, despite the fact that actually none of the data is actually stored on that cartridge, apart from basically an unlock code,
right?
You'll notice it still has the icon. So I've got to get it in the right spot. Can you still see it says that has that icon at the top?
It's blurry, but I can. Oh, there it goes. Okay.
Yeah, the little cartridge icon next to Street Fighter 6.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Right?
Yep.
So it shows that no cartridge is actually inserted. So I try and play it, and it still says insert the game card.
The game card.
Right. So no data is on that. It actually had to download when I got it, but now if I insert the game card, it's now able to run.
Oh, that is wild.
That's actually stupid. I don't like that at all. Like,
that's crazy.
It should have, like, yeah, okay, a game like Street Fighter 6 has probably more data on it than something like Yakuza 0 or Sonic Cross Shadows Generations. But there are certain games out there, and I can't remember what the name of the game was. There was a game that came out not too long ago that came out as a Switch 2 version, but it came out on a full 64GB card and had both the Switch 1 and Switch 2 versions of the game on the card itself. So that Switch 2 cartridge can be played on a Switch 1 and had both versions available. So why more developers aren't able to do that, I don't know.
Yeah,
and I think a lot of it is down to the fact that Nintendo have completely priced them out for the sake of we want these game key cards.
Right. Well, Mike says, let me just say, I have bought Cyberpunk, Street Fighter, and Hitman. Yes. I did my part to support third-party developers. The selling point is that you can give it to a friend and they can download the game to their system. I'm still a bit confused about that. That's because I don't have one.
whilst you can't at the same time, because even if you were to buy the game key card,
right,
you still technically can't give it to them, because you'd still need the physical version, unless he means you're talking about transferring it to a virtual game card, which is their new system that they use, which I still don't know how that would work if you have that system.
Right, okay. So if a friend...
Oh, which is he's just clarified. He says, which you can't do with a digital game unless you use the game lending.
Okay, so if your friend then puts your game card into their Switch too, they get to use the game?
They would, but you wouldn't be able to play it with them. So he said that you would still have to use the physical cartridge.
Which is different. Okay,
which is
I got
still
you now.
Pointless then.
Yeah, it is.
So if you're going to create a digital
games.
version of the game, then you're not going to be able to lend it to them because they still need the cartridge. So with the game keycard system. So it's dumb, and you might as well just go and buy the game digitally then, which means that Nintendo get more of the profit share. Yes, okay, they would still have to do the 30% probably to the publisher, but...
Yeah.
Well, they would have to... Well, they'd still get their 30% out of it, is what I mean, sorry.
Yeah.
But then in this respect, like developers or publishers then have to pay upfront for the game keycard, so they're already hedging that on the cost of itself. Yeah, it's a confusing situation, and I think it's not really helped at all. Because, well, I also found out that Yakuza 0 Director's Cut is actually an actual exclusive. That Director's Cut is not available on any other platform at the moment.
Oh, that's interesting.
Which is annoying, because I would love to go back and play Yakuza 0 with that Director's Cut version, which is why I was holding off playing any more of it. But I'm not going to go and pay for it on the Switch too if I'm going to get a game keycard, and I already own the game physically, like on PlayStation, and already own digitally on Switch. Or not Switch, on Steam, sorry. I'm not buying them again.
Right.
So, yeah, it's stupid, honestly. Absolutely ridiculous. So, Nana says apparently the game keycard was made because publishers didn't want to make physical versions. Like they said this at an investors meeting. And they just said, I just reread, publishers didn't want to make physical versions, but why release a physical version then?
We're in such strange times.
Yeah, I think this is Nintendo's way of sort of pushing people more towards the digital storefront, which I don't think is working.
I know, you hate it.
It's not working. It clearly isn't working. But,
not in the way they're doing it,
nope.
No.
But I think this might be tactical. If they go, oh look, we released these physical versions and nobody bought them, oh, we better move everything to digital. Oh no. Yeah, I think this is on purpose.
I mean, yeah, I do.
Starting to really fall out of love with Nintendo nowadays because of stuff like this.
Wow.
Anyway, I won't go into that whole rant I had last week about Nintendo being basically Disney.
Yeah.
Go back and listen to that if you want to.
I was going to say, go check out last week's episode.
I would say this is the last story, but I wanted to read you some excerpts about an article that I read on Digital Trends after this, because I thought it was quite funny and quite interesting, but also
I like funny.
Typical game journalist at present. So, but let's finish off with this main news story, and it's a good one for once.
Ooh, okay.
Well, I'll get to Mike's comment in a bit. Well, he said, I'll be honest, Pete, I'm falling out of love with them too. Mike, we should do a game and chat discussion about this.
I think you should.
Or you should reach out to the YouTuber who did that incredibly great video that I couldn't link to on YouTube.
Gotta get my... Which way? There we go. These two people, which our listeners can't see, these two people, Pete and Mike, are... Mike says it's Mike Tendo. These people are your Nintendo guys. If they're falling out of love with Nintendo, you have a problem.
Yep.
Nintendo don't.
Yeah. Anyway, 2 seconds.
That's what I have to say. But that's alright, because I'm an Xbox fangirl and I'm falling out. Well, I mean, I still love Xbox, but I'm not playing it. I have not logged into my actual Xbox. I've done, like, Game Pass games and casual games on my PC. But that's it. I haven't played anything. What's happened to all of us?
Right.
Video games.
Anyway,
Get your act together.
I am putting it in the chat for you. I can't put it in the chat because I'm not logged in. Let me do it on my phone.
Oh, no.
Stupid bloody Streamlabs not logging me in.
Oh, gosh.
Crappy
oh,
thing.
Oh, dear.
Ugh.
I know. They'll log you into, like,
So
the
dumb.
actual bit, but not the chat. Yeah, the chat's apparently separate.
So dumb.
Yes.
I know where it is now
Agreed.
anyway, so... Sorry, this is terrible. Read some chat.
Well, I already have read some chat.
Just read some more chat.
Okay, I'll pretend. Shrek has just entered the thing and said, play my game. Watch my movie. Anyway, have you guys seen that Shrek teaser that came out a few months ago? I didn't see anything wrong with it, but a lot of people were complaining about it.
Oh, it's the internet.
I didn't
People
really
complain
get
all
it.
bloody time. Don't they?
I mean, that's for sure. I've been watching a lot about people complain, like a lot about like Mind's Eye. I told y'all that last week. Got really stuck into that. Been watching a lot of that. I got stuck watching Moist Critical. I don't even actually like Moist Critical.
I don't either.
But then I just found myself, I kept watching more and more of his stuff, and I'm like, why am I watching? I don't like him.
There you go.
There's nothing wrong with him. I just don't like him. Ah, there you go. So Pete did his thing.
The title of the video is called Switch 2 is the Last Straw, I'm Done with Nintendo by a creator called the Background NPC. And it's a really interesting video. So, I'd highly recommend it. It was the one that I was talking about last week and just couldn't link in the chat at all. So, anyway, back to this news story. An actual good news story for once from video game development.
Video games! Yes.
Anyway, so, do you happen to remember a Soulsborne or Souls-like video game that came out about a year or so ago based on Pinocchio?
Was that the Lies of P?
That is Lies of P. Well done.
You win a P.
You win a point.
I do.
Well done.
Yay!
Anyway, so...
Oh, Pylord says, does Pete want to know the score of the sports ball? I bet you do.
Depends on what the sport... Oh, no. I'll find out afterwards. No, thank you. No, thank you. Anyway. This is all about video games. I talked Rematch earlier. That's my sports ball for the time. Anyway, so the development staff behind Lies of P are set to receive numerous bonuses as a result of hitting big sales milestones. So, as reported by South Korean publication The Elec, the game and its recently released Lies of P Overture DLC have now passed 3 million cumulative sales, taking all physical and digital sales on PC and console into account.
Oh my goodness.
Although it stated last year that the game had been played by 7 million players, Lies of P was released on Xbox Game Pass on day one, meaning a large number of those 7 million players had seemingly played it via the subscription service rather than buying the game. I was one of them. Played it for 10 minutes, didn't like it. Soulsborne.
I like it because it looks like Timothy Chamalama Ding Dong.
Fair enough. I just couldn't get along with the game myself anyway. Anyway, to celebrate the milestone, publisher NeoWiz is rewarding the staff of developer Round 8 Studio, as well as NeoWiz's own Lies of P development team, with a number of bonuses. All staff will receive a launch bonus of 10 million South Korean won, so around $7,300.
Okay, that's nice.
Earlier than scheduled, as well as 2 weeks of paid vacation on top of South Korea's mandatory 15 days of paid vacation.
That's how you do it.
Each member of the Round 8 development team will also get a Nintendo Switch 2 console as a reward for hitting the sales milestone.
That's awesome. I love that.
So, yeah. Not bad, actually.
That's awesome.
So that's kind of cool. So this is the way that you reward your people.
Yes.
Do well,
do
give
that.
them incentives, give them some time off, come back fresh, feel refreshed, move on to the next game.
And they'll work for you forever.
And they'll be happy with you.
Yes.
And I want to call out your
transactional.
comment. I don't always watch the sports ball whilst we're recording. Only
That's
certain
true.
games.
Only certain ones. That's true.
Yes, thank you.
I stand corrected.
Yeah.
Yes.
Anyway, so that was that news story. But I want to read you. So I found this come up on. So you know how Google or Apple or whoever,
Whatever, yeah.
Like if you search something, might recommend you some articles based on things that you've searched.
Yes. The good old AI.
This one came up because of Clair Obscur Expedition 33 on my search history.
Okay.
So
you don't want to know my search history.
Let me read the title and then I'll read you some choice excerpts from it.
Okay.
The headline is, "Can we all just be normal about Clair Obscur Expedition 33 for a second?"
Okay. Okay.
Okay. So,
Okay.
let me read the opening of this. It might take a little bit, so let's just... And then I can read some bits of it. So, whether or not it actually wins the game, wins the award come December, Clair Obscur Expedition 33 is the game of the year. That's an opinion for them. No
Okay.
2025 release has sparked so many long-lasting conversations, usually reserved for tentpole releases like GTA or Zelda.
Really?
Oh, there's been a huge amount of discussion about this game.
I'm out of the loop. I just watched Mind's Eye
You
stuff.
really are. It has been gaming's main character for months, standing in a shining example of what modern video game should rise to be.
Holy crap.
Yet all the mainstream conversations that it's generated, so few of them actually seem interested in Clair Obscur. Instead, Sandfall Interactive's critically acclaimed RPG has been submitted as evidence in an ongoing litigations against what gamers paint as a stale industry in need of new blood.
Okay.
I'm getting to it. While there are some meaningful conversations to have about what game studios can learn from Clair Obscur, the way that it has been weaponized and reduced to a piece of confirmation bias in any landscape-shaping argument it fits into leaves me hungry for more substantial dissections of the games we love. Obviously, this is an opinion piece.
Right, yes.
It was clear that Clair Obscur was going to be a big talking point when it launched in April to a wave of glowing reviews. Critics and fans hailed it as a generational RPG that revitalised turn-based combat, delivered an emotional story, and crafted an astonishing original work. Quote, "Game of the Year talk came fast, which is par for the course when a new game breaks the 90 mark on Metacritic. But the water cooler chats don't stop there. Soon, mainstream conversations yearn to place it in a broader gaming landscape. Its originality was painted as a shining light in the sea of perceived AAA slop. It wasn't just a good game, but a blueprint for how a boring industry could be saved. Even this very site op-ed about that immediately following its release."
That's insane.
So,
That is insane.
I want to read a few choice bits about it because I think that I have to agree with some, but I also think they're off the pace with some of this as well. Nana says, "I agree with this so much. The amount of reels that I have seen using Expedition 33 just being used to shit on the state of the modern Final Fantasy is awful." I wouldn't just say modern Final Fantasy, I'd say modern video game development.
Okay. Maybe I should play this game.
Let me get into the reason why behind this. Because it has been, and this is just solely me saying this, it was noted that actually that Sandfall Interactive are a very, very small team of people in Montpellier, France. If you want to know more about them, I'd actually highly recommend Skill Up's video, which was nearly 2 hours long, which was a full deep dive into it. He interviewed developers, the creators, like the main people part of the studio, the voice actors, everything.
Oh, wow.
And it's a really, really good video. But it is well known that there is only about 30-ish main developers that actually worked on the game, which is now being misconstrued because a lot of people are now trying to run cover for it, saying, but it had about 400 people working on it in total because the game was published by Kepler Interactive, who
I knew that part.
who are a team of other game developers, including Slow Clap, who assist on other projects, including QA testing and stuff like that as well. Right. So the main bulk of people that have worked on it is around 400 people, but the core development team is around 34 people.
Right, okay.
Including those who originally are freelancers working in animation. The game originally started out as only one person's creative idea, who then brought on a few full-time members of staff when he pitched it to them and needed help.
Right.
These people had worked. Some of these people had worked in game development before.
Yeah, because there's some Ubisoft people there,
but never actually in an official director's capacity, and mainly had worked in other departments. The person who wrote the story for this had never had a piece of work published in their life.
Okay.
Yeah, which is why I said go and watch the Skill Up video on this, because it is a very, very interesting story.
Right. I'm already intrigued.
Yeah, so the fact that more than 30 people have made this game, and it is an expansive open world turn-based RPG that looks absolutely gorgeous, is ridiculous.
And I do need to play it.
Anyway, so to continue on with the article, I just wanted to give some background. It says that over the top idea only ballooned as months went on. Sandfall Interactive's slim team size became a talking point. Articles popped up that praised the studio for creating such an accomplished game with only 30 plus people. A figure that was quickly debunked once critics started adding up the external developers involved, and also takes a bit of a pot shot at Jeff Kiley by mentioning how many people worked on this game, and then subsequently, when announcing other games by small studios, saying how many people have worked on it. Like, this game was made by one person, or this was made by a very small team. The writer of the article says, my growing frustration with the trend reached a boil this week thanks to a different debate that Clair Obscur had been unwittingly roped into. For years now, some RPG enthusiasts have lamented the death of turn-based games. That anxiety seems to come most from franchises like Final Fantasy and Dragon Quest implementing more real-time action. Clair Obscur is a loud and proud turn-based game, which made it the perfect spoiler candidate for an industry abandoning a classic way of play. Never mind the fact that turn-based gaming hasn't gone away, with games like Octopath Traveler 1 and 2, Infinite Wealth, and Metaphor ReFantasio all have proved that major studios are still very much invested in the subgenre.
That is true.
And yet the narrative persisted. It all came to a head during Square Enix Investors Call, in which the company reaffirmed its commitment to turn-based games and acknowledged Clair Obscur's existence in the process. According to Automaton, those typical business responses were mistranslated and blown out into a larger story. Clair Obscur's success had convinced Square Enix to start making more turn-based games. Finally, the video game industry was saved, mission accomplished. Quote.
Right.
Every conversation like this is riddled with holes that you couldn't get them across a puddle, and yet are inescapable. Fans want to prove their long-standing theories about the video game industry right, and treat its success like an irrefutable data point in every argument. It's not a new phenomenon either. This cycle tends to happen with both successes and failure. Baldur's Gate 3 inspired a wave of talking points about what players actually wanted from games. The line of speaking was met with backlash from developers who cautioned against using a very specific win as a crusade. Such games such as Black Myth Wukong become a rejection of Western ideology, and Concord was viewed as proof that live service games are dead. This
bad
is where
ones
I
are.
think he misses the mark completely on this article. I think Concord was nothing to do with the fact that it was that live service games are dead,
I
because
agree
live
with
service
that.
games are still alive. It was the fact that it chased a live service game when the time window for everyone to play a live service game is so limited. When a game like Fortnite, PUBG, or things like that exist, it's so hard to break into.
Yep.
And when you spend $400 million and it flops within its first week, and even before with its alpha, and people were so unconvinced by its mechanics and its incredibly terrible game design and character design, that's where I think this article completely misses the mark.
Yeah, because I mean, like, Helldivers isn't necessarily live service, but
it is a live service game. There is a lot of microtransactions in there. There's always something. There is always something to do, and there is a constant ongoing war as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There is essentially it's not a typical live service game, but it is a live service game.
Well, that disproves his point right away. Like, bam.
Yeah. So it goes on to go. I both understand where this comes from, because I'm guilty of it. As guilty of it as anyone. He then goes into a big spiel talking about American football, and I don't know why it veers off into the tangent.
Okay, yes, that's very weird.
So, as harmless as that can be in small quantities, its forced nature has become unbearable when trying to navigate conversations about Clair Obscur. It's not enough for the game to be a great game. It has to be a masterpiece. It has to be a counterpoint to everything we don't like. It has to be the saviour of the RPG genre. Okay. What's ironic is that none of those hollow platitudes actually tell us anything about the game itself. Engagement with what Clair Obscur actually has to tell us has taken a backseat to imperfect armchair analysis.
I mean, but that's what...
No, I actually am going to very much disagree about this.
Yeah,
I have seen a lot of different discussions about it. I have heard a lot of discussions about how people are saying that, oh yes, this shows that you can create a game with a limited budget and a small team, and it doesn't have to be the same typical AAA slop that we're coming out with. But I've heard more discussions about how great the game looks, how incredible the story is, and how brilliant the soundtrack is. And most conversations have all been, this is a game that you should play, and most people would probably love it, even if you don't love an RPG. Because it is a very, very well-made video game. Also note as well, the composer had only ever made music and put them on like a really obscure page, had never actually composed... No, and never composed a soundtrack, ever.
I did read that not too long ago.
And it's a brilliant soundtrack, by the way. It's very French.
Yeah, but I mean, there's so many other games that have come out even this year that have less people working on them. Like, actual teams of 3.
Yeah.
That would be a better example. Nothing against Clair Obscur. I have not played it. I think I need to. It sounds like
I think you definitely should, because I think you gel with quite a lot of these characters as well.
Yeah, I love story-heavy, narrative-heavy games.
My God, you would absolutely love this. Honestly, the first hour is absolutely devastating in its own right as well.
Really?
Well, let's just say that, what was it? Clair Obscur actually does roughly translate to Twilight, or something like that. But the original tech demo of the game was called We Lost.
Oh no.
Yeah.
I might have to.
So the game, I'm not going to go into much detail, but there is a constant theme of loss and losing as a whole.
Great.
Not only as like a party, but as a society in general.
Yeah.
Holy crap! Like, I really want you to play it and come back to me and tell me what you think about that first hour. There aren't many games that get me, but that first hour I was a bit devastated with. I was like...
Ooh, see, I like that. I like that.
And considering it's the first hour of the game, you're literally only just setting up your protagonist, and it is a character that has no revelation in the story whatsoever. It's like,
okay.
oh my god.
Well, that might have to go on the schedule.
Yeah.
Mike says, talking about live service, you have to offer something that the other live service games don't. Don't make another Fortnite, Fall Guys, or Helldivers. Make a game that stands out from the crowd rather than just another clone. I absolutely agree. And that is that game that I've just blanked out. Splitgate. Mm-hmm. Splitgate, I'm talking
and Splitgate
to you.
2, yeah.
Well, Splitgate 2, that's what I really need to say. Never composed a soundtrack. Sounds familiar. Koji Kondo, perhaps? Really?
Yeah. Hadn't until he done, obviously, his soundtrack. But what I meant is
didn't realize
he'd
that.
never conducted a score before.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
Anyway, so carrying on with the article itself,
yes.
It says, that's a shame because there's meat on the bones. Clair Obscur asks us to think about how we, as a species, push on in the face of mass grief. Which is what I was getting to. Okay. I'm not going any more into that because...
it's calling to me.
But I wanted to read this point because actually there was a reason behind why I laughed at this article towards the end of it. But and I will get to my general thoughts about what I felt about this article as a whole anyway. Perhaps that's just as much reason why Clair Obscur is resonating with players as the fact that it's a turn-based or made by an indie studio. There's a familiar trauma in it as the fictional gamage, which is something you won't understand until you play the game. And its impact on the world can be connected to the COVID-19 pandemic.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, they managed to put in a freaking pandemic discussion into this. And I don't know how.
I just finished watching Sweet Tooth, and I believe it. Because Sweet Tooth is based on that.
Anyway, so I'll just read the last bit of this paragraph itself. We just went through and are still going through a period of mass suffering. Those wounds are fresh. I still remember seeing the pop-up morgues on the streets of Brooklyn. I remember watching the infection rates rise and rates fall and then spike again, ripping any hope I had of an ending for me. I remember how hopeless it all felt. But I also remember how many people put in hard work to stop it together. Even if people refused to do their part, many masked, many stayed home and kept 6 feet apart. And anything else they could to stop the spread. It was a collective effort built on selfless sacrifice.
Yes.
I feel all that fueling Clair Obscur's emotional resonance. It begs to be discussed because what is the point of something being a generational classic if we take nothing else from it? So that's where I'm leaving it because I actually think that was probably a more fitting way to finish it rather than the 3 extra paragraphs he also had on top of it.
Yes.
So,
I agree.
Actually, I could read the last bit. It says, if you love Clair Obscur, really talk about it. Not what it represents, but the actual game in front of you. If you find that you don't have nearly as much to say about it as you do its influence, maybe it's worth questioning whether you love the game or just the idea of it.
Interesting. That might be too deep, but interesting.
I don't disagree with them, but I also don't necessarily completely agree. I think that you can do both. I think you can discuss the game's themes and its story, but you can also discuss the lessons learned about this game. Yeah. How you don't necessarily need a team of 400 people and a massively inflated budget to create a success. It can be done on a smaller budget with a small series of investors and a very good developer behind them. That's all. True. So long as you have the support of the people behind you, then you should be able to make it. The reason why this person who was in Ubisoft felt that they took it away from them and created their own studio rather than pitching it to Ubisoft was because they said this game would have taken at least 10 years to be made because they would require you to be in a management position to even be able to pitch this in the first place. They don't take creative ideas from people smaller down in the company. And I have reflected on this on numerous occasions in the past where we have lost the art of the AAA, or not the AAA game, the AA game, or the single A game. Those smaller titles that you release in between your big AAA games that have a smaller budget, that hopefully maximise profits, that can then be utilised on a bigger project, rather than constantly developing big budget games at a loss, hoping to sell millions, and it doesn't engage with an audience.
Yeah.
Which is why I said you can learn from this, but you can also, you can take the lessons away, but you can also discuss the game itself. Because I have done both. I have discussed the importance of the game, because I feel like it is a very important game this year because of its themes, its story, its acting, and its soundtrack. Just as a game package in total, it is probably one of my favourite games that I have played in a long time. But I can also discuss the absolute importance of what it means as video game developers and how it should be portrayed to other... It should be portrayed as a cautionary tale to other developers not to overinflate their budgets too much, because we will see a crash eventually if we don't. Yep,
I agree with that.
So yeah, I brought this article up because it's an interesting discussion.
It is.
And actually for a digital trends article, I didn't think it was completely terrible either.
Yeah. I was going to say, and Mike says it on that bombshell, it's time to end the show.
That is correct. And also, yes, you are right. Andy Serkis does do a voice in this, of a character in this. I recently just done his boss fight, which is one of the ones I got stuck on. It is horrific.
That's funny.
But it was another one of those situations. I was like, yes, I won, I've done something good. And then it absolutely ripped my heart out in the cutscene afterwards. I was like, no!
Oh no, I have to watch then. I have to play. Oh goodness,
you have to, yes.
On. Yeah,
so, yeah, and with that said, let's end the show.
Okay. Well, we hope that you have enjoyed this, and don't forget you can come watch the craziness over at twitch.tv/Rapid Reviews, where you can join in the conversation with us.
Like people have done in this very episode, which we are very thankful for. Thank you very much.
Very, very thankful. Very thankful. But with that said, Pete, where else can they find you out in Never Neverland?
You can find me on the socials. Search Rapid Reviews Radio or RR Radio Pod on Twitter and Rapid Reviews Radio on Blue Sky. You can also hear my voice along with Kurt Lewin on the Never Watchers podcast. We have recorded a few good men finally, and it is in the editing suite as we speak.
Very good, very good.
Yeah, so that should hopefully come out in a few days' time, because I've got this episode to edit along with that. Yay! And busy week at work meant I haven't had a chance to look at it. So so also please keep an eye out for MikeTendo64.com, where I should hopefully have a review out for Street Fighter 6. Was supposed to do it last week, but work, busy, real life, yay!
Also, yay!
Yeah, so yeah, that should be out soon. Anyway, Kylie, where can they find you and Apollo?
Me and Paulo. Yeah. Can be found Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays over at twitch.tv/KILEY_WILDE. Where on Mondays we play FPSs, and Wednesdays we play weird games, and on Fridays we play frightening games. And it's always a laugh riot, 24/7. We have a great community over there. Very great chat. So if you're looking for a place, you know what? If you're looking for a place to hang out, it's good. But if you're looking for a place to just lurk and not talk to anyone, but you just want to watch games in the background, that's also good too, because I don't call out lurkers. I never even look. I don't look who's there. So you can just chill, hang, and I'll never know. Or you can chat with us and we'll just invite you in. So it's a great little fun community that I would love to grow the rest of this year and definitely next year. I'm a little bit stagnant on Twitch. On YouTube, it's going cray-cray. So if you rather watch stuff not live... What? I gotta do all my stuff.
No, all I can see is just Apollo absolutely nibbling on your fingers.
Yeah, he wants to play. He really wants to play. He came to sleep, and then he was like, no, I want to play. But you can also find me on YouTube, where everything does a lot better than it does on Twitch. Same exact Kiley. I believe it is _ WILDE.
Yes, it is.
Or something. Yes. And then I'm also on TikTok. I do have to say, I did this a few months ago. If you come to my channel and you want to watch a lot of videos at once, if you can, refrain from using a VPN. I very much love VPNs. I adore them. I think that everyone should just have... Oh, he's going to growl. I think everyone should have VPNs into their browsers, but that's just me and my weirdness. But unfortunately, TikTok goes, hey, you've got a lot of VPN views. You are buying views. And I got put in TikTok jail last week. Again. For the second time.
Maybe you should stop viewing your own content then.
I know. Because I did wonder that too. But no. So if now, you know what is also bad? I didn't know this. Maybe I shouldn't say this. But if you want to like hurt somebody, you can do that. But I'm not thinking. I just don't think negatively. So I don't think anybody's trying to get me in trouble. I'd rather think it's just somebody who's just like, oh, I love Kiley's content. I'm going to watch a bunch of it. Also, I happen to be on a VPN for other reasons.
I think a lot of people might be on TikTok with a VPN because they don't trust said company with having ties to a certain kind of government.
That's kind of what I think. That's my same way of thinking, Pete. Yeah, that's just a little request from me. I'm not gonna make you do that. It's just that I got put in TikTok jail again. So, yeah, that's where you can find me. And I think that's gonna do it for us, isn't it, Pete? Is that us? We're done.
Yes, I guess so.
Then, okay. Why, Paulo? Why? We will see you and talk to you next week. Bye.
Bye. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Rapid Reviews Radio Podcast. You can watch the recording of the show live on Twitch every Sunday evening at 7 p.m. UK time at www.twitch.tv/Rapid Reviews. You can also watch the podcast on YouTube. Search Rapid Reviews 5534. And you can also watch the video version of the show on Spotify. Just search Rapid Reviews Radio. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up, a rating, or a comment on this episode. You can also follow us on Twitter at rrradiopod, as well as on Blue Sky at rrradiopodcast.bsky.social. Also be sure to visit rapidreviewsuk.com for all the latest reviews and previews.